It was a crime spree that had the Washington, D.C. area paralyzed with fear in the fall of 2002. Paul LaRufa had just locked up his restaurant and climbed into this car to head home.
The window exploded onto me and the flash of light and shots came in.
5 shots, point-blank range.
Where were you hit?
I was hit through this arm. I was hit in the chest, the stomach, the diaphragm, and my spine.
The shooter left LaRufa for dead, stealing his computer and $3,500, money that would be used to finance the coming carnage.
We got something that sounds like a gunshot.
1 month later, October 3rd, 2002.
A man has been killed in front of me. A man just fell in the parking lot.
There's a lady, she's not moving.
4 people shot execution style in broad daylight, each killed by a single sniper round.
We weren't sure if it was a terrorist style attack. We weren't sure how many shooters we had out there.
Assistant Chief Drew Tracy led the SWAT team response.
People were terrified. People were ducking behind cars and people not going to work and some children not going to schools.
Over the next 3 weeks, 6 more people were gunned down, and 2 others, including a middle school student, were wounded before police finally identified the snipers and cornered them at a Maryland rest stop. Chief Tracy vividly recalls the takedown of John Allen Muhammad and his teenage partner Lee Boyd Malvo.
I walked over towards Muhammad, and when I looked at him, he had a look about him that was just pure evil.
Muhammad and Malvo were both convicted of murder. Malvo is serving life in prison without parole. Muhammad faces execution.
Does it matter to you if he's put to death? Does that matter?
In this situation, yes.
Paul LaRufa agreed.
If you're going to have a death penalty, then he certainly deserves it.
But says he has no interest in watching Muhammad die.
Will I attend? No, I won't be there. I don't have a need to have a day of my life taken up by that.
He says he's a different person now, not the same young man who terrorized the entire Washington region for nearly a month.
I mean, I was a monster. If you look up the definition, I mean, that's what a monster is. I was a ghoul. I was a thief. I stole people's lives.
Lee Boyd Malvo, convicted in the D.C. area sniper case, says he's truly sorry for what happened. His exclusive interview with the Washington Post, speaking from Red Onion State Prison in Virginia, where he's serving a life sentence. Malvo tells the Post's Josh White what it was like to be under the control of his older partner in the killings, John Allen Muhammad.
And he told me the old person has to die. Lee Malvo has to die.
And he gives jarring descriptions of how they deliberately, but randomly, went about shooting their victims. Malvo describes how he gave the signal to shoot, how Muhammad, on a hill nearby, fired the kill shot, and how the image of Franklin's husband is the one that stands out for him.
The first one is Mr. Franklin's eyes. And what makes it, they're penetrating, but it is the worst sort of pain I have ever seen in my life. His eyes. It's the worst. Words do not possess the depth in which to fully convey that emotion. And what I felt when I saw it.
Retired FBI agent Brad Garrett, who questioned Malvo after his capture, says he's not surprised that Malvo is willing to pin much of the terror on Muhammad when he wasn't before.
The spell is gone. The whole idea that Muhammad was a good person or actually helped him in life has dissolved. And so now what he's doing is stepping forward. He's taking responsibility, but he's clearly putting Muhammad in the picture.
The execution of John Allen Muhammad has been carried out
just after 9 p.m. 7 years and 12 days after he was captured and charged with orchestrating our cold-blooded shooting spree. John Muhammad was put to death by the state.
He seemed very unemotional.
Family members of Muhammad had slipped in to see him earlier in the afternoon. But there would be no final reprieve, no mercy for the man who had shown no mercy, whose rifle seemed to target Americana itself. 10 people killed as they did the things that are part of everyday life. Virginia's protocol for the death penalty is mandated precise clockwork. The last meal had to be served no later than 4 hours prior to execution. There was the offer of a shower 2 hours before capital punishment was imposed. Muhammad was brought into the death chamber just before the appointed hour.
6 corrections officers had strapped him down, and you could see Muhammad kind of clench his fist a few times.
The curtains closed as IV lines were inserted. The curtains reopened. No words of remorse. Muhammad had nothing to say. A corrections official gave the order for execution. Time of death, 9:11 p.m.